Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us again for another episode of the HTMA View. What's HTMA? It's hair tissue mineral analysis, and you use it to mineral balance your body as the ultimate biohack. Now, we have one person. So, everybody remembers you saw in our first show Amber, Sheila, Katie, Tara, and Vanessa. But someone new today is Gabby Udabor. So, Gabby, tell our audience your HTMA experience, a personal experience maybe, what you're passionate about, and why you're here.
All right. Okay, so glad to be here today, joining the gang. So my name is Gabby Udabor, and I am a holistic nurse practitioner, a functional medicine health consultant, and a hair tissue mineral analysis expert. So I fell in love with hair tissue mineral analysis, I would say COVID year, 2020. That was when I was kind of introduced to this. And so when I was introduced with it, it was a training I was doing, was like a business coach training thing. And they introduced it a little bit, but when I started digging into it, and then another friend of mine, she shared about this HTMA and she was breaking down the things you can do, and I was just like, "Ooh, what on with just a hair test?" And so I'm like, okay, I know a little bit about it, and I love geeking on labs, so I was like, okay, I am going to learn this stuff. So I went ahead, signed up for a training because like if I'm going to use this, I need to really know what I'm doing. So that's how I got introduced to it. And since then, I have been incorporating it, working with my clients, and just letting people know about it, as much as I can. It's one of those things, it's like standing on the mountaintops and shouting about HTMA. So, yeah, that was kind of how I was introduced to it. And it's been life changing, I'm telling you. So, yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, and I know too in your practice you work with a lot of kids, right?
Yeah, so I work my training originally I trained with the Western medicine model. So my certification is family nurse practitioner. So that kind of has opened me to be able to work with different kind of people while as I incorporate, holistic and functional medicine. So yeah, I work with all kinds of people. I always tell people I work from 0 to 99.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and so we always love to have a bit of a topic for the show, but we always want to go down rabbit holes too, which I think today we're going to end up down some mine shafts. And so we're talking about random supplements. So, how many of you see something on Instagram, see an ad on Facebook, and go, oh my God, I need to be on that because that is going to make me healthy, just like the person that's telling me that it's really good for me? But really, it's random supplementation, right? We're really not, we're not, we don't know what our body actually needs. And now we've got a cupboard full of supplements that maybe the supplement graveyard. So, Amber, what are some of the supplements that cross your desk that clients come to you on that may be causing them more harm than good?
Oh, it's everyone's favorite. Raise your hand if you have fallen into the beef liver the beef liver train. Yes. Yeah. So this is billed as nature's multivitamin.
Mhm.
Perfect prenatal. Some people come to us.
I've heard that. Yep.
Yes, the
Yeah.
fertility
Yeah.
group
Yeah.
leans
Yeah.
in heavy on that one.
Yeah. We have to test. We have to know what your oxidation rate is and what your copper status is if you're copper toxic before
I
we.
think, yeah.
It's not just a supplement that's food based that's totally benign. There's a lot of nutrients in there and it's easy to overdo it. So I think that's the biggest one that comes to my mind.
Mm,
I
yep.
think it's the buzzword too, right? Food-based,
Yeah.
because I think when people start their health journey and you're going down that path of like, okay, food is medicine, right? Like I need to be eating the right things. So when you see these supplements that are food-based, you're like, oh, well, that's obviously going to be so great for me. So it's tricky with all these words that, in marketing, right? That you see that buzzword like food-based and you think that automatically like this is a good thing for me, but it's not necessarily.
I definitely fell into that. I was taking beef liver myself. I am copper toxic. This was before HTMA. And, it's like, as Katie said, it's food based. I was following, some of the giants in the biohacking world, and it made sense. Like, and I wasn't, and most people, probably 99.9%, are not looking at beef liver and saying, what are the contents in
Mm-mm.
it?
Right.
Like how much copper is involved, and not even having any understanding or knowledge about copper toxicity or copper imbalance. So this is so big. And I feel like a lot of people, clients that I talk to, and then when you find out what supplements they're taking, if there are those clients that are following biohackers on Instagram, and usually beef liver is on their list that they're taking.
Or even a
That
multi-organ.
concept of like treats like, and then nobody dives deeper into breaking down what is actually in this. It's just like liver is good for my liver, beef liver is good for my liver. It's like, let's look at the biochemistry behind this.
And to people's defense, right? They're scrolling on Instagram or YouTube, and they're busy in their whatever their careers or interests are. And a lot of it's not what we're doing. So they're not thinking in those terms. And that's what makes it really hard to watch, that people are being taken advantage of. Because I believe that maybe some, and maybe not, maybe some of the people recommending it don't feel that way or even know what we're talking about, right? Because HTMA isn't known by even some of the top, say, functional medicine doctors out there.
Yeah.
So people fall, they're not, definitely not breaking it down and saying, oh, let me see what's in this beef liver. What nutrients is it offering me? They're just believing that, oh, this is good for me.
Yeah. And I think another thing too I've seen is in protein shake.
Oh, big one.
Yes, in the protein shake, because you have some people that is kind of like that's their vitamin. They would, I mean, these are protein shakes that are probably very expensive. It has all the list of, vitamins in there, and of course, copper is there, and so many other things, which
Yeah.
is affecting them. It's
And
like,
some of
oh,
those, Gabby, even also have the organ meat
oh yes,
Yeah. The
in
desiccated.
the protein shake. So yeah, a full audit of everything
yeah, oh,
needs to
yeah,
be done when we start, mineral balancing and looking into what this person actually needs, because a lot of times they just don't even realize that they're taking all of these extra things because it's just a protein shake. It's just food. I'm just like, yeah, well, let's take a look at that. And lo and behold, it's fortified with an astronomical amount of zinc, and it's got all these animal organ meat in there, which is, super nutrient dense. Not going to take that away from it. But when we're trying to target a pattern and improve it and improve health, we can't be overloading in all of these other things because it's creating an imbalance that we're trying to fix.
It's a
yeah,
very,
that's
yeah, it's a
yeah,
very generalized approach, right? It's almost like a generalist approach where it's like, let's just take this and it covers all the bases. But at the end of the day, we see this so many times being a detriment to people because they're adding to some of the things that they're already have too much of, right? And then they're not getting in some of the things that they really need more of.
Right.
I
think
think
it's important too that we recognize that this actually might be beneficial for some people, right? Like we're
yes,
not
Yeah.
absolutely,
saying that this is an awful product. It's just there's so much advice out there that is not a one size fit all, right? So
Absolutely.
this would probably be very helpful and supportive for some people, but you can't just be right, like hear this advice on the internet and assume that it's going to be a right fit for you. And I think that's where the problem is there's probably good intentions behind it.
yeah.
However, maybe a lack of education on the people making these recommendations. Actually, I would say definitely a lack of education
Yep.
that this type of thing is not suitable for everybody. Right. It
Yeah.
brings us to test, don't guess, right?
And you know, I have to share this. I mean, it's not relating to the copper, but one of my very first functional medicine patient I had, and she came to me because she was having Hashimoto's. Her numbers were off the roof. Her autoimmune numbers was like 2,000 or
Oh,
something.
goodness.
Wow.
I mean, I was just like, okay, God help me to be able to figure this thing out for her. I mean, to cut the story short, I was able to help her. But first of all, when she came to me, I evaluated all her supplements. I mean, that time I haven't started HTMA, but being a functional provider, you know, I already look at everything they are taking. And when I looked through, so she was, and this is something, Katie, you brought up that, you know, to be able to tell the, you know, to let that, yeah, some of these things are they are good, but not good for that person. So for
Right.
this particular patient, she was in one of this one popular brand of it's a direct marketing company, and she was a consultant in the company, and she's very, very passionate about it. And and they are very quality supplements. So, but when I started looking all the components in her supplements, most of them are based on soy.
Mm.
And think about soy, Hashimoto's, thyroid, you know, and it was just like, okay, because I mean, when she came to me, she's like, I don't know what else to do. My numbers just keep getting higher. And so I sat down and we did evaluation of all the supplements. I mean, I think 80% of our supplements, they had soy addition stuff in it. So we went through that whole process, and I was happy. She was, you know, able to see the reason because, like I said, she's very passionate about that business. She's been doing it for years. So I thought I would have a lot of resistance, but I did not. But she went through the whole thing, and I told her, these are some we can keep. This is some we can, you know, there is a replacement. And we walked through, and she started feeling better. I mean, this lady, she's doing so well. But yes, these are things that, you know, it's very helpful that, you know, yes. And I explained, I said, this is probably good. You know, I know it's a big company, they're selling all this stuff, and, you know, people are doing it, but it's not just for you, what you're going through, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, so, but
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Well, and
Mm.
how many of you have had somebody come to you like on a laundry list of supplements? And so many times they were like, well, why are you taking this? Well, I don't know. I saw it. Somebody told me about it and I thought that I would, you know, add it to the add it to the list, right?
That's what
And
I
and
did.
and I've had those. The list is like 2 pages long. It's like, oh
Oh
my
my God.
gosh, right?
Yeah, and especially if they're promoting like, oh, and what you said, like, why are you taking this? If this is good for my hair, this is good for my eyes, this is good for my
Yeah, the
joints.
marketing behind
And
it.
then, and I had one woman I'm thinking of in particular that, you know, really knew a lot about certain things like fitness, and her career was completely something different than wellness. But she was one of those that would read the ad, buy the supplement. So when reviewing the supplement, it was like, there's 10 milligrams of zinc in this one, but then there's 20 milligrams of zinc in that one. There's 10 milligrams in that one. So she didn't understand that, like, you're taking all these different supplements that are supposedly for different things, but there's overlapping minerals or vitamins that usually you see it in minerals mostly. The vitamins tend to be very, very too low, like they're
Oh
not
yeah.
effective. Um, so yeah, she was able to see that, but how often does that happen? So you're like, you know, Tara said, you're not balancing, it's too much. So yeah, zinc is amazing, you know, beef liver is amazing. All these things have great benefits, but the test don't guess is so vital. Like the blanket recommendations is almost irresponsible, you know, but
Yeah, yeah.
knowing it's an industry that, you know, is going to is making money.
Yeah,
So
to be very careful.
yeah.
Yeah, because that's what I see when sometimes some of the patients that come to me. I mean, they are, you know, they are living healthy already, but they are now suddenly just overwhelmed, you know,
Yes.
and it's like, okay, I am tired of figuring this thing myself, you know, and like Sheila, you said, you know, they are this kind of people that anything that's appetized, they are getting it and all that. In fact, I have to have one of my I have to like, please don't purchase any supplements anymore because every time she comes, we're there talking, and before we leave, she said, "Oh, by the way, Gabby, I just got these 3 supplements. I was talking to this pharmacist and he said these are good. I just wanted to add it in. What do you think? And I'm like, we're almost done with the appointment. Okay. Please. I was like, please do not buy anymore. And I know she's very much want to get better quick. I'm like, you gotta be
Right.
patient. Do not add any more.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so common. That was like, how many of us did, like, that was me in my 20s. Like,
Oh,
I spent more money on
definitely.
supplements in my 20s and 30s than I can't even tell you how much money I spent. And probably half of them, I didn't even finish the bottle.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Just get
Yeah,
tired.
or the graveyard.
Yeah, you take it for 2 weeks
Or
and you're like,
grape pantry.
this isn't doing anything. And then you're like moving on to the next one, right? That's that you get into that wheel and yeah, and sometimes clients, because we just want to feel better because something's
Yeah.
wrong, right?
Yeah.
And you just want to find a solution.
And you have to be careful too, because talking about even the doses, the elemental doses there. I mean, you see something there, they just put there in front of it, immune health. And I saw one like that, which I was like, okay, let me immunity health or whatever they put on it, very nice bottle. And when I looked at it, the vitamin C is like 15 milligrams. I'm like, I mean, there were a bunch of stuff. I'm like, 15? I mean, if you know how, if you really want to build your immunity, if you are using vitamin C, you should be going from 1,000,
Yeah,
big.
yeah.
15. Like, there were little things combined to it. I'm like, great.
And on the flip side
that's
of that,
definitely the other.
Gabby, like
Mhm.
Yeah.
when you're high dosing the vitamin C, what are we automatically thinking? Well, if we don't have your bio-individual lab results in front of us, we have no idea what copper buildup may look like in you. And then all of a sudden, this person feels like they got hit by a truck because they're provoking a copper dump. And it's like symptom city. And it's so terrible. So it's like people are like, oh, well, a little bit of a good thing's great, but a lot of it's even better, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then they end up a puddle on the floor with no hair. All
Yeah.
fell out.
I used
Oh.
to do something like, I don't know, there's a practitioner, he has protocols where he does mega dosing of vitamin C. So for years, I used to take 6,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day.
Oh, wow.
As a standard, and then if I got sick, then I would take even more. And I, just large amounts of vitamin C every single day. And his thing was, if you can carry on taking it and upping it until your bowels get loose, and then that's the point at which you should stop.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's about magnesium.
Okay. I think I know that
Yeah,
protocol.
vitamin
Yeah.
C, you can do flushes with it for sure.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
this was he said it ongoing. He's like, this you should be
Oh.
doing it ongoing. Yeah, this isn't just
Ongoing, not for the flushing. I know of the ascorbic acid flush thing, but not ongoing. Oh no.
Yeah.
I think there's two good points there, Cho. You have one side where people are spending quite a bit of money on a bottle of supplements that supposedly say for brain health. Let's just say, they label it immunity, brain health, whatever. And then you look, like if you've had clients and then you look at the ingredients, you look it up and you're like, to what Gabby said, like 50 milligrams of vitamin C or 5 milligrams of B6 or, something like really minute amounts. So it's like not enough. And then you have the other side of it where people think more better.
Yeah.
And like people have been told with vitamin D supplementation. And again, yes, some people, there's a need for that. And some people, but everybody thinks everybody should be taking it. And the more, the better. I had a woman tell me why, she was taking 10,000 IUs a day. And I asked why. And she said, well, I read that it was good for, brain health. And she suffers with some like depression. And she thought it would make her better. And, it's like 10,000 IUs a day. So, people, more is not always better. So I think that's a good point. Sometimes it's too little and sometimes it's way
It's
too
too
much.
much. And talking about that vitamin D which is another thing that is controversial. I know when I have to bring this to patients. And since COVID, the vitamin D has
And
skyrocketed,
And zinc, yeah, I was just gonna say.
Yeah, it's like people that is the standard dose, COVID and all this stuff, and not knowing, if you take any dose, when you start going high with vitamin D from 5,000 and above, and you are not taking magnesium, so your magnesium is being depleted. And unfortunately, I would say a lot of practitioners are not remembering to tell that, okay, if you absolutely have to take vitamin D, are you taking magnesium? Because now it's bringing down your magnesium, and other things, your calcium is off the chain, and all that stuff. So which is why just doing this testing, you're able to
Yeah.
tell, like somebody's, I cannot live without my vitamin D, but she's coming to me with all these symptoms that I could see, which, we're going to be explaining all this stuff of how vitamin C with calcium movement and all this stuff. And it's like, God, you have to understand. It's like, why am I feeling worse? This is why we're talking about balancing. You gotta balance. It can't just be,
And
going
it's
back
so
and
important that as practitioners, all of us truly understand. We come to the table thinking, all right, well, we're root cause healers. We ask why. But then, a lot of practitioners out there are not asking why with regard to vitamin D, like your D's low. And the first question, as we're all very used to asking now because we understand the minerals and vitamins and the cofactor depletions behind it. But people aren't asking why, they're just giving D. And really the question that should arise immediately in all of our minds is, what's magnesium doing? What is magnesium doing? If D is low, well, what does magnesium look like? Because if we'd have deficient magnesium, which, okay, well, that explains the whole world, right? Then we can't utilize D. So bringing in the supplementation is going to, like you're saying, Gabby, it's going to further deplete the magnesium that we're already deficient in and needing for so many things. And then we've got further calcium dysregulation. So it's like, all right, your vitamin D is low. What's magnesium doing? Is that a problem? Let's get that in order and see what happens to the D. Will the D come up on its own? And in my practice, in my clinical, I wouldn't call it research, but just in my practice, I see it all the time. Let's get the cofactors in and D rallies. So yeah, I just think that somewhere along the line we've lost as a whole our ability to ask the question why to everything, because sometimes we're also being indoctrinated from just like what has just typically come down the pike, like, oh, vitamin D, vitamin D, vitamin D, vitamin D.